So what do you do when you run into an issue where a property that you want to purchase uh, has an owner that cannot sell the property because they don't actually own it yet? And in most of these circumstances that I run into, this is because of probate. So the person who owned the property passed away and they don't have a will, and there's no clear evidence of what their intentions were to do with the property. So the state and the courts have to make a judgment of who the heirs are and really make it clear who owns this property and who can actually legally transfer the ownership to the person that wants to buy it. So I've done this many times over the years, and I'm in a situation right now where I'm working on this. And these situations can become very complicated because when someone passes away without a will and they have heirs, they can have many children and many grandchildren. And so these things really are uncertain who owns it. If people are heirs and have not been involved in the family for decades, maybe they went off to another part of the country, they lived a life separate from everybody, but they're still a legal heir to the property. So these situations are very complicated sometimes, and sometimes they're almost impossible to find a solution. One time years ago, I had a house where the owners that contacted me who wanted to sell it actually owned it with 6 of their siblings, or 6 of them together owned it. So there were 5 other people, and so the person that called me wanted to sell it, and most of their siblings did, but one of the brothers didn't want to sell it. And so the family, all 6 owners, the 5 people that wanted to sell the property, could not sell it because they did not have an agreement with the other sibling. And so in that situation, I worked on it for a while, but it just became evident that because the one person didn't want to sell the property, there wasn't anything I could do to solve that problem, and I was unable to purchase the property. And eventually the house got so structurally unsound that it needed to be demolished. So people don't really think clearly when they're in situations like this. Sometimes they think they want to hold on to a property for emotional reasons, because it was a house they grew up in, or it was their grandparents' house, and or they also think that they don't want to give it away, quote unquote. I'm not going to give away my property. I hear people say that, and it's more of an emotional statement. And a house that is in serious disrepair, where everything needs to be done, and if there's no intervention immediately, very quickly, within a year, the property will need to be demolished. It's that far gone, and it just gets to a point where you can't really rehabilitate a property anymore. And so the heirs that hold on to a property because they think it's more valuable than it is, or more valuable than anyone wants to offer them, a price that anybody wants to offer them. So they hold on to it thinking that maybe they can sell it for a higher price later, or they'll eventually find the buyer that will really give them what they believe the right price is. And then usually that doesn't work out when a property is so far gone. They just wait longer, and like I said in that example, it just needs to be demolished at some point. So these are real problems, real life problems that people experience, and as investors, we can solve people's problems. The general public can't solve these problems. The normal home buyer is unable to solve this problem, even though they might want to purchase the property. They really don't have the wherewithal or the skills to really remediate it and rehabilitate the property correctly. And in most cases, people don't have the capital to be able to do that, because these are properties that you can't buy with a home mortgage. They'll never qualify for a home mortgage. So investors are a solution, and those of us who are knowledgeable in rehabilitating older homes, or homes that have neglected maintenance. This is an opportunity for us, and also as a solution for the folks that own these kinds of properties. And then when there are heirs involved, it could be a very lengthy process and involves a lot of patience to do these types of deals. I just got a call today that the deal that I'm working on, there was a tragedy with one of the family members. They ended up, well, they committed suicide just today, and they're not in the chain of being an heir, but they are, related to the folks that are trying to clear up the probate problem. So these kinds of issues, real life issues, just even further complicate these situations, and it really requires not only patience but a lot of compassion. And had to talk to the family today, listen to their story, and there was a solution that I had for part of the problem that was difficult for the attorney to overcome. And I become almost a liaison between what attorneys ask for and what they need for the legal stuff, and with a family dealing with personal and emotional trauma. So anyway, this is just, I just wanted to make this video because it's really fresh on my mind because of the experience and the conversations that I had today. If you have any questions about this, please feel free to reach out to me. If you find this content helpful, give me a thumbs up, and reach out to me by email, text, or phone call. You can easily find me online and find my contact information in the show notes.